I will not dwell on the blockade that was put on my life, up, down, and they see that I'm a fighter, so I was always jostled with. But I will say this finally, that I would show another piece of paper that came with a divine equation from the Congress of Liberia. I only showed one. There's another one that I have where they circle and mark what kind of writing it was and stuff like that. I don't care, but they recognize that it's original. And it's original. It's original to anybody who see it. It came about because 9 men got hung in Trinidad, It's original piece of work. And a lot of people are against capital punishment. I don't want to dwell into that, but I'll say this, that I find it a slap in my face that I'm being terrorized through Author House with an e-book and a rocket book, with a rocket e-book. I find so. You're robbing me. You're not sending, you're not telling me who is selling my book. You're not making proper quarterly report and stuff like that. You're not recognizing me as a person. You're just sending me tax papers now. So you actually setting me up. And I might be holding back to say, well, I don't want to get into what have been suffering. It's because it's painful to go down that road all the time. And that's so, even though I could stand the pain of it, for me, it's not a joyful thing. It's not something I like to do. But because I don't even tell my children some of the stuff that I've been through, because I don't want, sometimes it's better to hold back things from your family at times. But the website I made a perfect website. As a person coming from Trinidad, my age, I sat down and I just made this miraculous looking website and inviting people around the world. I'll go that far. And the artwork and everything, and my son put it on there. You scrub it, okay? Special interest scrub it. They came up with conglomerate and they did their own thing. Now, why are you going underneath now and try everything to capsize my world, to always, and the way they stamp it in the Library of Congress, you could see that, yes, the fashion is now is to motivate me, like if I'm a person going to act on impulse, and do foolish things. No, I'm not. To me, it was level-headed, and not only level-headed, very consultant with God at the same time. What I am doing and what I'm writing, I've always been like that. So I'm not, because I hear something is going on, I'm going to flash and go berserk, you know what I mean? So why is Author House taking sides? So regardless of special interest or not, Author House have to give me back my money. But my point about special interests of themselves, special interest is a different kettle of fish. They slap me in the face where they think they could use me, or they could squeeze me, or they could use insinuendos, or if I'm watching TV they come out with some things, to all sorts of things that they did. No, you cannot do that to me. You cannot do that to me and get away, because I don't owe you this. I don't owe you this. I become an American, a Trinidadian American. Yes, but at the time when I wrote that, I was a die-hard Trinidadian with no strings attached. I didn't even have my green card. So please don't give me a bullshit. Just lay off of me. And to me, it's a Trinidadian issue. Don't even belong to you. You didn't even honor that. You scrubbed the site, and then you wanted to do what now? Terrorize me, and the next thing you know, you want to have me tie up in knots. So I always owing you. Oh no, Mr. Washington. Oh no, Mr. Sam. You better get the hell away from my face. I'm telling you, if you don't believe God is seriously on my side, you might find that out the sad way. I realized that God is on my side. I knew when I wrote Divine Equation, I had what we call spiritual intervention in the same apartment in Manhattan where I wrote it. I had the, the holy body prepared me for this, what I would go through. I would say that much. They prepared me, my body, for this blow. And this may be why I stand up so strong, because I had 5 cesarean in my life, but nothing as it was not as painful as what I went through here in America. Doctors in Trinidad said I should have tied my tube when I had my third child, and I said no. I wanted, I couldn't stand the idea of just having cesarean. But anyway, that's a different story. So I had just to go 5, and eventually they tied my tube. But special interest here was worse. I started my book when I was having my third child, but special interest here in my life was worse than the 5 cesarean that I had. And how I know God was on my side is not just what happened to me in the time when I wrote Divine Equation. It was on the day the White House got cracked. I knew that. Being in Manhattan, wanting to leave my car, I went on for this interview with and when I got there, nice building and everything like that, but it was a room you had to share. I'm not used to sharing any room anyway, but nice building, A police was like, first thing, a police was assisting a drug addict in this wonderful building, and it was really weird, and she was carrying on hysterical and everything else. But in the room now, I alone had us to sit in this interview with five people. And during the earthquake, didn't know anything that the earthquake is going on until I left the room. It was so tense. 5 people so in this room. It was so tense. I wouldn't say the questioning, that amount of questioning, you don't know it had an earthquake at that magnitude. Imagine that. So it's when I come out that I'm going to find this out. And few of the people in there, I think everybody who was in the room didn't know. But I do know for the rest of their life, they're going to remember that. I mean, it's impossible. I'm not going to take a room with anybody under those conditions. But they did write me, and I said no. One of the ladies in the meeting asked me, she said, but you don't look homeless to me. So I asked, I said, well, how does homeless people look? I said, there's a lot of people in Manhattan that you would know that they're homeless, but they're homeless. But anyway, they did write me at the same address that I showed on the magazines, and they told me, well, yes, I could get a room. But I said no. It was a beautiful room, but it was, it was junkies, secured gate and everything, 4 blocks off of Times Square on the west side. I said no. They write me, and they said you could have it, but I never answered it. I applied out of the boroughs into Buffalo. Right now I'm right across the lake from in Buffalo from Canada. I had stone throw from Canada. So for me, that's better than having to go on there and live with a bunch of junkies, dope addicts that I didn't know. What I seen, and the earthquake really woke me up. It is surprising. And those people who was in the room with me that day, as far as I heard, because I was busy to get out of there at that point, and here there's an earthquake. I didn't know how bad it was until I got back to my car. And where I parked every day, and the police would always come and check me out because they knew I was there, and my daughter just lived a couple houses down. So they knew that I would be parked there. So they'll look in on me every night. They'll come with the flashlight, make sure they know I didn't stay out late and stuff like that. That's when I knew how bad it was. But I know for sure it was awakening from God. And I know that because those people who was in the room on that day, for the rest of their life, and it's in the history books that Washington was cracked, that they cannot forget that. The same way I can't forget the day that JFK got killed and stuff like that. They will never forget that. It's a remarkable day. I don't even know the day, but I know if I want to find it, I could go on the internet and look for it. So it was for me a message from God, and I know from then God is in my life, and He did not like what was going on, because we was locked in that room, and the silly questions to get a room, to get a room, and the scrutiny and the things they were, making me answer, it wasn't called for. So yes, and if I had gone there, they would have turned my life upside down. I know that for sure. For what I see was happening to that woman who was on drugs, who the police was trying to rescue that day. I don't want to dwell much on those things, but I've had to struggle to keep above the water. Thank God He gave me that amount of sense to do so. It may be that maybe my sign by God is an earthquake, because when I moved to Buffalo a few months after, I was asleep. It was sometime, I think it was before midday or so. I don't know, I must go on the internet and look at it, but there was another earthquake, a small tremor, but I felt that one a little bit, but I was so tired, because when you come from sleeping in your car for so many years, you're trying to catch up on sleep. Now any little break you get, you're sleeping, but I felt it, and then I turned on the news, I think, when I woke up, and they said there was an earthquake here in Buffalo, but it was slight. So maybe the earthquake was a sign of that 60 cents coming. I don't know, but I think that's my message. I don't know. It's kind of strange, though. As I say, this book is not for you to, I'm not doing this for you to go out and buy this book. Do not do that, please. But just to talk a little bit about myself, I went to school in Laventille, RC, from the time I was 5 years old. So I did my first communion and everything there. And then when my mother was going to live in England at the time, at the time in the 50s, everybody was running to England. She took me to live in Belmont. So I continued my education at Belmont Methodist. I lived on board with the Highlands then, the great athletes from the two Highland brothers who lived in, who were from Belmont. And from there, I started writing from that age about my diary. I used to write before, but not my diary. From there, I wrote my diary. Then, as I grew older, my friends, because I had so many old lady friends, they encouraged me. They always said, they found, well, my story, but I don't know what they were thinking. When you're a young woman then, back then, every woman is a child's mother. That's how it went then. Every woman was a child's mother. You had to listen to all the elderly people. So anyway, the old ladies, they always said, and watching my life as I grew up into a woman, said, Leah, write your story. But I remember as a child, my daddy, when he saw me with a piece of paper, he would be sad. He never told me why he'd be sad, or he never made a fuss. My father was a man of few words, and he didn't scold me right. I was like maybe I'll say I was a spoiled child, but he didn't say much, but you could see the difference. You could tell the difference come over him. He'd be sewing at his machine, and I'll be there at his feet, and with my paper, and he would be very deeply concerned. But as the years passed, the old ladies the elderly ladies keep singing the same song, so they more or less, they knew I like writing, so maybe that's why they told me to write my story. I can safely say that I helped build Amazon, Yahoo, and Auto House. With them on my car, as a Yankee fan and a showing off Yankee fan, meaning my memorabilia of Yankee is on my car, and as you could see, my number plate also said very Yankee. So I could say safely, and I know Massachusetts will remember me, especially in Westfield where I live on Union Street, with Auto House, with Yahoo, and Amazon on my car. So I can say, yes, I helped build them. but Author House only give me 60 cents. And I'm going to tell you, Author House have to give me back my money. They have to give me back my money, and I'm sending the IRS after them. They're too damn bold-faced. One of the things that I'm going to show next before I go is that I want to just brief on that the 14th of September, everything that came back from the Attorney General office that they tried to match up was highlighted with the 14th of September 2015. Now, if you look closely at the email that I got saying that they couldn't find my contract, that my contract was a blank, and they couldn't find that. That came on the 10th of the 12th month, 2015. That came before I contacted the Attorney General office or the IRS. So it's strange to me that the papers that they snuck in, that they put between my file and posted back to me, the majority of them had that yellow highlight that said the 14th of September 2015, and my procedure hadn't started yet. So it looked like if they were trying to match things up and couldn't. You will also see that in the fourth quarter of 2014, that where that 8 books show up, it never came in the basement between 1 and 10 pages. But 10 pages was easy to go each quarter, each year as it came, and that's the way I filed it and put it away. I put them away while I was waiting for housing. My housing application was in from 2005, the time I came back to Manhattan from Massachusetts. So I was delayed and put into all kind of cuckoo shit that, eventually got me into the car, but it was put away in my storage. All my Yankee memorabilia, all my Giants, everything was packed in my storage from 2010, 2013. 2010 I became homeless. So my stuff was put away. But anyway, getting back, I don't know why everything that said September 14, 2015 is highlighted coming from the Attorney General office. And also, those 8 books, I never received them, never seen them in the basement. Just to make it clear on this same bill with the 8 books, so nobody, we don't get mixed up in how you quote it. Number of sale this quarter. Number of sale this quarter, 8 books, which give you, now, the bill is made bad, anyhow you take it. And it will leave for an experienced person who will break it down into units and whatnot and whatnot. That's the breakdown. The bill itself is a razzle-dazzle. It is a razzle-dazzle. It doesn't give you the unit price, blah, blah, blah. It give you 8 books, $108. But the quoting of number of books sold, and the book volume off and stuff like that. And then they go authors due, and they don't give you that due money, and there's no carried over here from other months. So this is Order House. Apparently they had what do you call here? It doesn't make any sense either. You had one book of the ebook sell also in 2004 in the same quarter of that 8 books. So you have one ebook selling there too, and apparently they changed the price of that. Now there's no money due. The due to the author here is $5. Where does that come? Where's that money? And all those things like that. Author House, for me, must give me back my money. I will pray to God day and night. These people are either nuts, or they are government themselves, or something like that, or who are they? Who are they? You have to say, who are these people? Who are these people that is doing this? Who are these people? And yes, I was enlightened in 2005, but I couldn't do it. My hands were tied with personal problem because it, again, I'm not going to go cry about it and say, things was hard. I couldn't. I just couldn't. That's the bottom line. I couldn't because it was made that way. That is the way it was then. But um, had I been in an easy road, they would not have gotten away so long with this. Other house is a maniac, is a monster, and they must be having tax breaks to be doing silly things like this because nobody in the right mind could tell me this is a decent quarterly report. No one. Anybody who said this is a decent quarterly report, well, I would like to see what they call not good. Well, I've always been ready. I try to be ready for the best or the worst. It's just my nature. And but I'm wondering too. I say they are not ready. If they were ready, they would not subscribe my website and keep putting in all my quarterly reports. This rocket ebook, this rocket ebook, this rocket ebook all over the place, and I don't own a rocket ebook. So I'm wondering, it make me wonder about the rocket that blew up in the sky in the 80s. Because where does this rocket ebook show up on mine? Because I wrote something, so it made me wonder about that a lot lately. Because obviously you're dealing with desperate criminals behind the scene. I don't know how other people see it, but this is the way I see it. This is what I have in my hands on my quarterly report, a rocket ebook. So yes, it made me wonder about the rocket that I looked at on CNN that blew up. It really does. It's a serious thing. Special interest drove nails in me. But I'm here today to report this to my people, to the world, and to believers. I am ready. I've always been ready, but obviously they are not ready, as they would not have scrubbed my web page and then send little insinuendos and this and that and that and that and trying to pressurize me always, like having me locked up in a room with 5 people. All the other applicants are outside waiting, and I alone in there with 5 people. What's that about? For a room, to join a room with dope addicts? And the Almighty Living God bless me so much because my father always respect policemen, you see. They always, in New York, policemen is giving a bad drive, But I have to say they help me. Say what they want, who have problems with them, that's their business. They help me. They always looked in and helped me as a homeless woman. And traditionally, I researched policemen in New York, and traditionally, through the old days in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, policemen always in New York, forget New Jersey, always help homeless people. But that's not the point what I'm trying to say. What happened when I got into that, just before the interview, as I walked in, a policeman is rescuing a drug addict by the elevator, and she's carrying on. Then, I'm waiting for the interview, and I go on into the interview, and they go on and locked up with these 5 people who's questioning me. All the other applicants are outside, and then come the earthquake, and nobody in the room feel it. I did not, and I heard others saying when they came out, and I rushed out. They didn't feel it. So yes, God has been on my side, and He marked the date and He marked the spot. I take it seriously that way because I know at the end of the journey that's how it's going to be. If I had was to make a claim through taxes for advertising on that, because the whole special interest drive on my body, which I am not going to really dive into, is either show, well, I'm a psychological loony bin or some kind of thing. Thank God I didn't even have to go or never had to go to a psychiatrist, because they would have had proof then that something wrong with coming in with compulsion writing, or making it look like if I wrote my divine equation emotionally and all these things, But thank God. So I say, I know God was on my side, or is on my side. God is in my side. He definitely is in work, because they are not ready. I am prepared, for everything. Obviously, they're not ready, as they was not going to scrub my website. So yes, I say they're not ready. So they call it compulsion and emotional writing. I am emotional about making this DVD, because it is, it's hard on me, and it's not just for the sake of talking. When you love what you are doing, and I don't know how other writers prepare, or how people prepare to write a biography, but I was in love with what I was doing. Obviously, I was. And I would say, if there's any fond memory my husband had for me, it's probably about writing, because he knew where to find me if he couldn't find me. He knew exactly where to find me. And as I say, my children grew up with that. So I was always in love with writing my biography. And I can see why my grandchildren, I'm old enough to have great-grandchildren. I have 7 grandchildren, and I'm old enough, my grandchildren is old enough to give me great-grandchildren. Why they can't enjoy something that their grandmother did, or their great-grandmother did, and why these hooligans in Indiana is enjoying that. And not too long ago, they were racist bastards, So yes, I am emotional about making this video, but none of my writing was ever emotional, So other house have to give the IRS taxes on that $243, or give me back that money also. I am dead serious about it, because what has happened here has taken me into grievousness. My soul, my spirit grieve about this, because yes, I enjoy getting up and finding the time to write my biography. And if anybody, whoever bought my book, they will tell you, when I left Savannah, Georgia, I could have jumped ship in Savannah, Georgia in 1975, and I didn't do that. And the first thing I did, I went downtown Savannah, Georgia, bought a GMC, General Electric typewriter, and I started recording and transfer my book. And everything, I used to love to gamble. I converted my time, all my spare time, into writing my biography. That was a labor of love. I want my money back. The seriousness of the 20 books that is missing on my quarterly report is, well, I have the receipt, and I can claim through taxes, for discount through taxes with that, if I did have to pay taxes on my book. And so Order House not showing it up, they obviously did not pay taxes receiving that money. So that money, that $243, should be returned to me. If Order House do not return that, I hope the IRS get them. They have to pay the IRS for those taxes received. I have the receipt. I could claim on that. And it is very serious to me what they have done there. They know that I could claim on that. Is that the reason why they're holding it from the quarterly report? I don't know. I don't want to know. All I know, it did not show up, and it should show up. It should show up. It should not backfire to me. Like, if I am the liar, I pay to advertise this, or I do this, or where did I come up with this bill, and they can't show it on the other hand. It must show up. That's a trickle-down effect. It must show up.